Hi there, it's Mishka. It's so wonderful to be with you again on this beautiful Friday. Summer is coming, a little bit chilly still. But today I am very, very excited to talk to you, and I actually want to talk to the students. And initially I thought it might be just the younger people because we know everybody, we're thinking about our students at school and people at university and colleges. But I realized that it's just not only the younger people, but we've got students far older. So I actually want to speak to everybody about the I am and studying and writing those exams. You know, Einstein said that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. Now, one day, if you think about that, okay, learning of facts, because so often when we go down and we sit down and we say, okay, I need to get all these things into my mind. And it can be extremely stressful. It's a time period where people go through so much that I think we actually forget about it if we're not studying ourselves. We don't know actually anymore how stressful it can be. Now, when Einstein said that, he was such a clever man. Then you think to yourself, what does that really mean? Is it the studying of facts only? And I do think that is what makes it difficult. And you may ask yourself also, what does I am have to do with studying? Because I'm using my mind and it's, putting books, you're getting books and we get information and we have to just get all of those things into our mind because we've got to go and write about it. We are being tested at this time of the year. If you're a student, if you're anywhere out there and you are writing exams, your mind, and you might just be saying, I'm tired, I might be exhausted, I don't know how to do this. And I just want to encourage you today, and I want to make you aware of that fact again. Remember, we're talking about I am. We're talking about that fact inside of us that is so pure and that is so good and it is so, so, so perfect. As we came into the world, nothing ever harmed that. The thinking patterns, you see, most of the stuff that you and I battle with are the things that's really in our minds. So when we listen to the statement of Albert Einstein and we think, okay, it's not just a learning of facts, but it is actually training our mind to think. Now, how does that work? How do we put that which we are absolutely in practice when it comes to a time when we've got to write exams or we just simply have to do assignments? I'm so happy, I'm so glad. This year I've done under tremendous pressure. I finished off now with the final assignments for a master's degree that I'm doing. It's possibly something I thought in this year was the year I would have had least time. There was just no time. I actually don't know how I did that. But the most amazing part of it was that when I realized it is actually just a perspective. And I had to do it myself. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to you about it today. Is how do you go into that deep, into that I am, who I am. And how do I go into that recess of who I am to help me make this easier? Because, when we look at something, perspective is so important. When we look at studies, when we look at how am I going to portray something that's out there, and we just take the facts and we're continually trying to get these things in our minds. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been there. And then you think, I'm actually never going to remember all of this. It's so much. And fear comes in and people get anxious. Anxiety sets in, specifically when we know it's time for exams and we are now tested on what we know. It's not easy. But I want to just say to you today, once again, just first of all, go back and just sit back and say, who am I? What is it inside of me that I first have to do? How am I going to apply a statement like that? How do I train my mind to think? because you're talking about a subject. And if you're literally going to try and put things and memorize things, now I'm not talking about people who are exceptionally intelligent and might just have, remember easily and photographic brains and all those things. I mean, really, who's got that? Not a lot of people do have that. But I'm talking about really mostly people, the average person out there that knows that studying is not easy. It's not something that you just do and there we go, we're going to write a test because we feel so happy today and we've just got all of these things in our minds. It takes effort. It takes a different way of approaching life. Once again, what does the I am inside of me have to do with that? And that is what I want to talk to you about today. And I want to say to you, first of all, when you're going to write these exams, don't start with a negative frame of mind. Don't start thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Don't start thinking, if I can only pass. We say that so easily. We speak things that can actually harm us more than anything else. Where if we understand who we are, then even that exam comes into perspective, because it is simply something smaller than what we are. We can think about life and we see this mountain. Now, if we stand next to a mountain, it is huge. It's most of them are. I mean, we look so small and we've got to go up on the mountain from the bottom. That is perspective. But if we are on top of the mountain or we even fly over it, it's very small. When I stand and look at a distance, wherever I am is going to give a different perspective to the mountain. It depends on what I need to do with that mountain. What is the mountain? What does it represent? Does it represent something beautiful to me? Does it represent something difficult to me? So it is a mind that we need to train to think right. Remember, I spoke to you previously and in one of the episodes about training our minds to become tough. So when we write exams, when we study, it's not just getting all those facts into our minds. I mean, think about it. If anybody's got to ask me today, and I think any one of my audience, most people I was speaking to, if somebody has asked you, can you remember on your grade 12 exam that year and that year, even the questions, the answers, whatever? No, I don't know. I can't even exactly remember questions that I've done with the final degree. I mean, how do we remember all these things? So what is it all about? And sometimes when we have the wrong perspective about studying, we actually lose it in that perspective. We think, oh, you know what, I don't really want to do it because what am I going to do with all of this? What is, for instance, biology's got to do with my life? A lot of people say that. I say, what's maths got to do with my life? It's a little bit tough, matric maths I did, but it was a challenge. The rest was no challenge at all. But I did not understand what difference that can make to my life. However, there are people who are absolutely brilliant in maths, and they just do it. They just flow in it. And if I can just see what they're doing, do yourself a favor and watch the movie about these amazing ladies that they just physically did things in mathematics that was so awesome. The mathematical science behind going to space. There are so many of those movies out there. People that are literally behind the scenes. And before we had computers doing all this work, that came out of the minds of people. People had it in their minds. Now, what do they do? Is it simply just, I'm taking a picture with my mind and then I'm going to put all these things down on paper and that's what I'm being tested for? Really, I do believe that we're not really tested for the facts that we take in, although that is what we have to represent. But we grow only when we can start to understand that I've got to train my mind to think. Oh, you can say, what's the difference? If I've got to reflect the facts that's been given to me during the year, or now I've got to think, what is the difference? You see, when anybody presents to us facts, we can either make a decision. Remember, it's a choice all the time, and it does not matter how intelligent we are. I do believe we do not, if we should take all our senses and bring everything that we are, you see, all that we are, I am, everything inside of us, and we start to focus that at that moment on whatever we're studying, and we start to become creative. We start to form sometimes pictures, become creative in your studies. When you hear about something and you taught on something, do we just take it in as a fact and we're trying to really memorize that? Or are we thinking? Are we giving ourselves time to be just human and be excellent? Because you know how many things you have inside of you that works with you. Please don't ever think about yourself as a person. It doesn't matter what you've done before. Maybe previously in your exams you did not do too well. But don't stop there. Don't label yourself. Don't listen to the facts. Remember, I said this again previously. So many people have so much to say about us. And those are the external factors that influences who I am. That perfect little baby did not come into this world. And I'm sure the baby didn't think about anything in biology or mathematics or history or whatever. Of course, it didn't. However, it's been formed perfectly, with everything intact. I'm saying today that inside of each one of us, we all have the ability to pass our exams and pass it quite well. It is a matter of how we think about it and how we perceive it. Are we going to use everything that we are to understand that? Get those facts out there, read them out and say, what is this actually telling me? Give your whole body, give your mind a chance to think, a chance to give you answers. It is amazing how we've been created. We have been created with so much. Just think about it. Everything that you're going to be learning about and that you're studying about is something that does not have the ability that you have and I have. So we are the only part of creation that can do that can actually learn, that can study, that can find out more. And it's such a privilege to be able to do that. And so often people stop because they've never learned how to do this. People get books and they think it's intimidating and they go, how am I going to get through all of this? And we literally have come to a place sometimes where we take the information that we need to study, we bring it down to so little, and we think, okay, if I can only get that into my mind, I'm at least going to pass. So what's the point? What is the point? You and I have not been created just to pass. We have actually been created with so much more. We've been created perfectly. Every single voice that ever told you, you'll amount to nothing, you don't study and you're stupid or you can't do it, those things are interfering with our thinking processes. And it's got a lot to do with you and I when we go forward and we study and we have to write exams. Because you see what? The moment you look at those books and those books feel a little bit bigger than what you are. And the moment the facts is something that you think, I can't get this into my mind. I just can't do this. You see, you cannot say that. Because the moment we say that, we're actually telling ourselves and we're telling our mind that you can't do it. It's very, very powerful when you go back and understand who you are. You are far more, and you are far greater than any subject that you've ever got to study. That subject is something that is smaller. It's there for the taking. We always want to do these amazing things. We want to go out and live life and I mean, that's awesome. I love adventure, new things. And how do we not understand sometimes when we study something and we get to know our planet and wherever we are better, whatever you study, it's just something that you can think, man, if I just understand this, if I can train my mind to think right, not wrong, that is far better than just getting facts into my brain. Because if I take my mind and I start to understand a subject, we're starting to talk from a point of strength. Then we're not just students. We're not just that person in the classroom that somebody says, oh my goodness, I just hope they're going to pass. Or never, ever, ever, ever speak about yourself like that. I don't care. If anybody has told you you've got an IQ that's little, I don't care. Speak to yourself and honor and respect who you are, because all of us have that ability to at least think about some subjects that's far greater, that we can see it in a bigger perspective. The moment we do that and we start to write our exams, that exam should actually be something that is not bigger. Can you see the mountain? If I'm at the bottom of the mountain, I think this is so big. If I position myself differently and I understand that this is merely an exam, it's merely another test, it's merely something I've got to get into my mind, and start to find out about things. Look at it differently. Look at life. Take those facts that you've got to study and apply it, because it's got to work for us. We can't just study all these facts always. We've got to understand when we do study, it enlarges us. You might think it's true. I can't remember everything I've studied. You won't be able to, unless, like I said earlier on, you've got a photographic memory. And who's got that? Very few people. So we don't remember it. But the fact of the matter is, the more information we understand, the more knowledge we have, and we study about what's around us, and we get to know our environment. We get to know who we are. We get to know why things are happening. And we just start to study it with a different attitude and a different heart, because we're pursuing something better. It changes completely. And then we're not just a student, we actually become a master, because that's what we're doing. We never should be studying just to be a student. We should be studying to be a master. And I encourage you, this time of the year, let go of anxiety. Let go of fear. Because you know what it does? It takes your time. It takes your time up, because you're trying to study and these thoughts are all over. Calm your mind. Just absolutely put it out of your mind. Understand that as a person that you are, you've been created with the ability to absolutely be far greater than anything that's coming from the outside. And you've got to become the master in what you're doing. So for this time, wherever you are, wherever you are, what age you are, I am wishing you all of the best. I do believe that if you position yourself correctly, if you understand who you are, and you're going to write those exams, and you're also going to bring a little bit of fun into it, use the creativity. We need to use color. We need to use sound. We need to understand something. Maybe somebody's got to read something to us, that we hear it from a different point of view. Perhaps sometimes we just read these things, we don't understand it. Read it out loud. Use every single sense that we've got. When we hear it, when we see it, when we can smell it, when we can think it. Your mind is very, very powerful. So train it to think and enjoy these exams, and enjoy it. When you get your results, you can actually say, whoa, I have done this and I am now becoming a master in this area. From me, Mishka, until next week, enjoy.